Welcome, welcome, welcome. Are we live? Okay. Hi, you guys. Okay. So I wanted to come on here because I just went live for the Lionsgate portal. And I want to share with all of you something that I feel God's put on my heart to share. Not going to use the oracle cards, not going to use my deck. Going to share with you how I got where actually I'm living today, which I'm not going to share where I live, but how I went from living in Ohio to living in San Diego to Vegas to here. And I think this is a pretty powerful story about how God cares where you're at on your journey, right? He always puts you at the right place to learn the lessons you're supposed to learn. So I grew up in Ohio, and I did not move to California, which I spent about 10 years in California until much later in life. I felt led to live in California because of what I was doing for a living. And those of you who don't know me, quick introduction. My name is Andrea Cox. I'm an intuitive healer, holistic wellness coach. I am a conservative woman, a little bit of a whistleblower. I've been heavily censored on social media from my beliefs in my earlier days when I spoke out about a lot of things that I thought were important. I have created 3 plant-based recipe books. One, Eat Right for Your Zodiac, Licious Recipes, Juicing for Beauty. I have also, sorry, I don't know why that started playing, but it did. I've also created an oracle deck called The Lessons of the Mystical Muse. You can also pick that up. It's in a bundle package. So I want to share with you guys what led me to California. Was I was kind of like a fish out of water in Ohio. I had went on the news, been written about in the Dayton Daily News, and then went on the news like probably 10 times in Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, neighboring states, for a book I had written called Licious Recipes. Someone caught wind of that owned a raw food company, and they brought me out to California to do something called Expo West. And it was I would say a living foods, healthy type of situation where I was literally handing out chocolate. So kind of like to model for this big raw food company. Well, at that event, I met lots of people, and I got hired. I got my first celebrity client from that event. And I had studied with Gil Jacobs and a lot of people that put me on my journey to living foods and things like that. I'm starting to think I should have shared this on my other channel. When I moved to California, quick thereafter, I got hired by a Tony Award-winning playwright. His wife hired me to make his food at the Old Globe Theater for 6 months while he put on a play called Spring Awakening. And that was my first, like, even bigger celebrity, because this was a Tony Award-winning playwright, right? He had composed music with people like Burt Bacharach, and he was famous. He's a wonderful person. I wouldn't say demanding, but I definitely had to get everything right. I made a lot of mistakes. He was very kind to me. After that, I got hired by an NBA player for him and his wife. After that, I got hired by another celebrity artist. And then I went on the news one day in San Diego and met Chris Knight, who was on the Brady Bunch, as all of you know. And then he hired me to cleanse him. So he came back to San Diego and did like a 7-10 day cleanse. So it just kept steamrolling from there. Throughout that, I had a lot, while in California, I had a lot of things just come to me organically. I never chased press. I never paid for press. I never reached out to anyone by email to get press. Mind Body Green, Your Tango, The Good Men Project, Women's Day Magazine, the Chiropractic Journal. Oops, sorry about that. Fashion 5.0. I wrote a health column for them for months. Goodness, KUSI, San Diego 6, Good Morning LA, Fox. I mean, all this stuff just came to me because I was great at what I did. I was the best. I learned very quickly how words spread when you give people the results that they need. While I was in California, I did get into a karmic relationship, and that person did try to destroy what I built. And I have since then expressed legally and stood up for myself in a very courageous way that this will no longer happen. Like, you've stalked me for long enough. However, I didn't do that until I got here. And this is why I'm sharing this video with you. After living in California for 10 years, the big C hit, and the house that I had rented for 10 years needed to be sold. And so I had to move quite quickly within 30 days. And I had that house full of things, and really liked the type of relationship I had with the homeowner there. She was very hands-off. I think I saw her 3 times the whole 10 years. And that was okay with me because I like to keep to myself, because I am out there publicly with all of you. So I like to keep to myself. So I ended up moving to Las Vegas. And although I loved Las Vegas, I really loved the energy. And I led everyone on social media to believe I lived in a different location, because I often do that. I didn't like the energy of the homeowner. And she had an emotional attachment to the house and would come over all the time, like daily. And it was too much for me, with the recording of videos and running a business and having client calls. It was very disruptive. And I feel like, as a woman who pays her bills on time and takes great care of places, I should have a little privacy. And then when I wouldn't renew the lease, they got really nasty. So that was the last place. Now I'm in a really peaceful place. Just kind people, kind neighbors, very peaceful. But I want to tell you what I've learned from living in these places. There are certain types of people in the world, myself included, that will be moved to certain ley lines and grid marks to awaken the vibrational frequency, and also to elevate ourselves by learning lessons, right? Right now I live on my Saturn on the MC line, which for me is very, very difficult when it comes to routines and health and business and all this stuff, right? Saturn is not easy. It's not gentle. It's Capricorn ruled. So it's been definitely a lesson in responsibility, but also I feel like if I hadn't moved on my Saturn on the MC line, I definitely would have never stood up for myself legally against the people who were, stalking me online. I feel like I never would have stepped into my power of saying, okay, enough is enough. I see what you're doing. This is over. And so that's what Saturn will do. Saturn will make you toughen up to the point where you do things that you normally wouldn't do on other grid lines. For example, on my Pluto line, which was California, it was great for recognition, but it was a lot of spiritual lessons, a lot of past life relationships. You live on your Pluto line, you're going to have every past life partner you've ever known come into play. So that was more for me to learn how to not give of myself freely, and how to really be more reserved with my energy and set healthy boundaries. Las Vegas was definitely a lesson in learning to set healthy boundaries. Like, you're not coming over every day, right? And here it's more heavy responsibility. Saturn is burdens. It's heavy burdens, right? It's carrying a heavy load. But when you learn to master that, it can be very rewarding. And so I had a reading with David. His name's David Hauser. He's very good. He's a big astrologer in LA. You guys might know him from, he's done a lot of work with the Leo King, and he's a friend of mine. And he had an hour session with me last week. And I said, I think the Saturn line is really heavy for me. It feels like I'm carrying so much, just like financially and stuff, right? And I can handle it. I'm a tough cookie. But I was telling him that, and he said, yeah, but where your Aquarius placement is, you are literally a spokesperson for this new paradigm. So you have to go through this Saturn energy in order to come out like a diamond, right? You have to go through this part. But what he also taught me was something else that I felt was really valuable. And then I want to get into why God cares where you live. He also told me that people that come in to try to help, like if someone tries to fix something, or, like a broken bed or something, or if someone wants to help me, like if my sister sends me a Christmas gift, or I meet a man that, I start a relationship with, and I'm really hyper independent. If someone wants to help me, there's a reason. It's from a past life, and there's a reason they're on your path to help you ascend and grow. So I should be more accepting of that instead of pushing it away, because I have extreme healthy boundaries, right? But here's the messages I got from God when I was praying this morning. And I actually like using Jesus over God. A lot of times when we are relocating or we're looking to live in a certain place, that's my dog. I think Jesus will choose a place that is best for our soul's growth and evolution at that particular time. For that particular time, he will introduce you to the people you're supposed to meet, put you in the area where you can work on the things you need to work on. So for me, this is kind of like a repeat of responsibility that I had in California. Heavy, heavy responsibility financially, but it's almost like I'm being tested to see how I handle it this time, and if I handle it better. Also, I truly feel that Jesus introduces us to certain people at certain times along our path. It's like the same situation with a different face, to see how we handle that situation the second time. So that's another thing. That's another really God-centered download I've had. I also feel that the old adage of God never gives you more than you can handle is extremely true. So if you are someone who is maybe not happy where you are, or maybe you just relocated, or you're looking to relocate, sit in that stillness with God. Sit in that space where you can really ask the important questions from him and from yourself that need to be asked in order for you to ascend and grow. Say you are a mother of 3 and you've decided you're not happy in the situation you're in, and you're going to get a divorce, which I don't recommend unless something's really wrong, and you're ready to go in a different route, and you're just looking online on Zillow, and you're looking at apartments, and you're ready to move, Instead, sit with it. Sit within the space you're at and ask what lessons you are being asked to learn. It's a very powerful tool to sit in the space you're at, right? So for me, moving twice over the past few years, and having huge moves and carrying all this stuff with me, it's a question of, why do I have all this stuff that costs me 20 and 30 grand every time I move? Why do I have all this stuff when I wear the same dress or shirt every day, and I ponytail my hair and don't really, why do I have 3 closets full of clothes? Why do I have, 3,000 square feet full of furniture? It's a question that I'm asking myself, right? It's also very Scorpio North Node-esque. So really ask yourself the important questions you're being guided to ask yourself, and talk to God about it. Pray about it. Hi, Maverick. Hey, bud. Okay. Really pray about it. Ask about it. You'll be surprised at the answers that will come to you. You can also pray to your ancestors. I have my grandma right here, my grandma Lagolda, picture of her and I when I was like 20. And she's the one that taught me to pray. She's the one that taught me to tap in. She's the one that used to sing Bible songs to me. She's the one that built my connection with Jesus. And I think this is vitally important, especially in the day and age we're living and what we're about to go into. If you're smart, you have preserves. If you're not, maybe you don't. But really ask for divine guidance. Ask to be shown the path. Maybe you're happy where you're at and you're not going to move for 2 to 3 years, 4 years, whatever. Be planning now for that future. Whether you're alone or with someone, be planning now. Be thinking now. But don't get too far ahead into the future. But sit within the place and the state and the energy and the nature that you're in. Really explore the outdoors. That's crown chakra. That's grounding. Sit within the space you're in and enjoy it while you have it. So when you leave that space, you can say, you know what? I really lived that area to the fullest. I hiked that mountain. I saw that waterfall. Just my thoughts.